What's up, everyone? T2 NA Siege is back, once known as Challenger League. Now we've got Element. So a whole new package, John. I'm very excited. I think I can speak for everyone when we say I'm ready to get right back into it.
Yeah, the last time we casted in T2, Harrison, that was October of 2022 for the 2022 playoffs. And we had some Goliaths back in the day. I mean, we had Reality TV that were almost completely undefeated. They only lost a single map to Aerial Arise. You had Aerial Arise, who made a huge comeback towards the very end of playoffs during that stage. You had One Shot. You had Luminosity, which was like one of the most aggressive teams at that time as well. We had some magnificent teams back in the day. So I'm hoping with new faces and a new meta essentially in Rainbow Six that T2 is just as, I guess, exciting as it was back in the day when we were still casting it.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of familiar faces coming back too. If we can take a look at all the teams that are going to be competing in our event. So the invited teams, all 8 of these teams were based off of their major qualifier performance. So back for the May Major, all the pro teams that made it to either closed quals or the LCQ have been invited to our league. SSG Academy were the team once known as West Garfield Park, who kind of rose from the ashes of Reality TV after they got picked apart and brought into Pro League. GGG, that's Kool-Aid and Spirits team. Aerial Arise, we recognize from Challenger League. Same thing with Karn and Code. Wildcard Aces, JJ has finally made it, but he didn't qual. I would like to throw that out there. Everyone needs to know he didn't qual for T2. He was invited. So he's technically still yet to do that, but I'm very happy to have him here. Dilemma Esports were previously known as Lycus Empire. They pushed their way pretty far through the closed quals as well, carry the boats. What's left of that old oblation into however many names they had. What were they recently? Illness Esports, I think. And then Orbit. And then now they're carry the boats. They brought Drip onto the roster, so that's going to be really interesting. And Taken Kings, a lot of people might recognize as the HK Rebels, who competed in a bunch of the T3 leagues.
And not only do we have all of these veterans of the game, both from all the way up to T1, moving down closer to the amateur and semi-pro scene, but we also have a lot of new faces, like For My Gang, for example, who we haven't really seen besides in more of the PUG system for Rainbow Six comp. So this is a great way just to kind of get those reps and then just put your name out there, see how good you can compete against former top dogs of the game, honestly, Harrison, to put it bluntly.
Absolutely. And we've still got, 1 HP and Outlast, as well as Osiris. Osiris previously being known as Stay Safe or S2. These guys have been running amok in the T3 scene. Like you said, For My Gang and Sway. Sway were Monkey Business, I believe. They're brand new. Slate, previously the Bureau, that's a natural R6 and Spider team, so we know those guys pretty well. And Chunner Esports. You might recognize that guy in the logo. That's, of course, Sean Gunnar Potteroff of the Susquehanna Sonics. He's kind of like managing this team. He pulled them together, and they managed to qual, and they had a pretty impressive run. So can't wait to see all of these teams compete, but we're only going to see 8 of them today. Of course, it's 4 games today, 4 games tomorrow for round number 1, and we've got some pretty good games lined up, I must say. Of course, the format, if you watched the May Major, should be pretty familiar to you. It's going to start off with a Swiss bracket, 16 teams. Eventually, we'll end with our final 8 at the very end. They'll go into a single elimination bracket. The main difference between our format and the Majors format, though, is that in order to get promoted or eliminated, it's no longer best of ones. If you have 2 wins or 2 losses, you're playing best of 3s.
Yeah, this kind of allows for teams that have more experience playing longer games to have an advantage against someone who might have not done enough bookwork against their opponents moving into a promotion match, or just as importantly, an elimination game, as once you're eliminated, you're out of the Swiss stage. The bottom 8 teams just waved themselves goodbye, and we're not going to see them until potentially the next T2 system that we end up seeing in the near future, potentially. But we'll take a look at the schedule for today to see who exactly we're going to be covering for our 4 best-of-1 matches. We first off have Dilemma versus For My Gang, and I think Kise Resistance has probably got to be Karn & Co versus Chunner Esports because, well, we have a couple of new players, at least on Chunner in particular. You've got, I believe it's Senvale, who's playing as one of their 5th for this. So it could be interesting to see how he competes in the competitive scene, since we haven't really seen him besides, the qualifiers that they, won to get into Element 1.
Yeah, Senvale actually went crazy. I think he silenced a lot of doubters that weren't sure how he was going to perform. But of course, first game, Dilemma Esports, previously known as Lycus Empire, up against For My Gang. So, John, counter to popular belief, I was talking to Kiru before the game. For My Gang is not a pug stack.
Oh.
They're a real team. They were scrimming and stuff beforehand, so they are a real team, as is Dilemma Esports. So it's not like we're going to see ranked play. At least we shouldn't. These are both real teams.
And I guess you could put, given the fact that we haven't seen a lot of newer leagues kind of evolve over time, there is a good chance that Dilemma and For My Gang have played at least a little bit, either in scrims or in an actual game day match. But in terms for Dilemma, yes, we've seen at least the core three for this team for a good chunk of time under Lycus Empire. You've got Ozone as kind of their main IGL, Handle, Cryptix, Brios, who is basically the new replacement for Aggro, who used to be on that team, but then moved over to 1 HP currently, I believe, and then Wooz ending it off as their fifth and final. They've been pretty much a top T3 team for quite some time, and they've kept things pretty competitive, even going all the way back into July. So hopefully over this long period of time, still being in the amateur and now T2 scene, they've just had a lot of quality control, improving on discipline, making sure they can still fight for that opening gunfight and win it, because, the gunfight meta, it's still a pretty big thing nowadays, Harrison.
Yeah, Ozone said one of the biggest struggles as a roster is that, like, their fifth has been rotating in and out between, substitutes, consistent fifth, which actually, like, Wooz and Brios and Cryptix and Aggro have all, like, left the team and rejoined at one time or another. So it was actually not Brios that replaced Aggro. It was Cryptix again. He left the team after major quals. They picked up Aggro, and the team felt as if their ceiling was higher with Cryptix. So they asked him to unretire and come back to the team, and he did. And let's look at their opponents. For My Gang. Now, again, probably an unfamiliar team, but hopefully some familiar faces. The main one being Kiru with his stint on JJ's team on Wildcard Aces. I believe when they were still Wichita Wolves. That was kind of when Kiru first, in my mind at least, started coming to the forefront of T3. Owen as well on that JJ team, who tried for that really, really far CL qual run so long ago when he was getting yelled at by Joe. Buke is, of course, Reapa's, who you may have heard him before, but Capsule and Diffuser are pretty much just, as far as I know, just kind of ranked players who decided to start playing comp. I've never seen them compete in literally anything before.
And at least for Kiru, I've got at least a little bit of experience with him as well. I remember him all the way back from the T4 days where I had to go against him when I was helping at a team, learning, the whole competitive environment. And yeah, he was pretty good back in the day. So it's good to see him kind of climb the ladder and just get that consistent improvement and maybe learn a thing or two from JJ yelling in his ear after a while, because he can get pretty passionate. So at some point, fingers crossed, we see that JJ passion in an interview. That's the one good thing about an invite for JJ. Yeah. He does not have to worry about quals, and we're going to see JJ at some point, whether it's via an interview or just seeing him in a game, maybe getting stomped on.
Yeah, even if they go 0-3, I think we have interviews for teams that get eliminated. So we will be talking to JJ at some point, even if they don't win a game. But before we move on, Ferme, our beautiful producer and creative director, if you can pull up the For My Gang roster, the FMG roster real quick again, and we can take a look at their smiling faces. Something here is not like the others. Reapa's Mr. Buke had a whole month to submit a photo, guys. So we hate him now. All of Element 1 is now a certified Reapa's hater. Ooh. So this guy's gonna go 1 in 10 today, at least until he submits a photo. But that's enough ragging on him. In all seriousness, I hope all 10 players do well. But John, we gotta find out where the hell we're going.
I just hope that all 10 players get in lobby so we can have a best of 1 game.
That would be great too.
Hopefully no lollygagging today for our matches, as we already have a couple of, I guess you could call them standard bans out of the way, Theme Park, Skyscraper, in a best of 1 format. These maps rarely see play. Probably going to get something like an Oregon or Villa, given the fact that those two are kind of towards the very end of this ban phase, and a lot of teams just frankly like them. We saw For My Gang play during the qualifiers. I'm sure they had their fair share of either 2 of those maps, and yeah, it's the decider of Dilemma to either pick Oregon or Villa as a ban. They have plenty of experience on both, and they opt for Villa, probably to allow for a little bit of an easier roam, considering Villa is just a larger map in comparison to Oregon, but it's not uncommon to see extensions, but you could also bunker in a majority of sites, or only lurk just a little bit and be just fine on Oregon. Villa, you could roam on pretty much every single bomb site and be completely fine.
Absolutely. Villa, you don't even need hard breach either on the attack. Very, very flexible map. For My Gang also very recently played it. They played it against Outlast in the close quals, in the first qualifier to actually qualify for the league. And I don't know what the score was because if I recall, one of Outlast's players actually lost power and couldn't reconnect. So that was a forfeit. So I'm going to consider that for My Gang, that they didn't really play that map at all. That didn't count. On the flip side, Lycus Empire, they played Villa in the major close quals, I think. They played it against JJ, and they lost it 7-3. I know that. They played it against... Actually, I think it was just JJ. Yeah, I think it was just JJ. So, not a map that they play very often. That may have changed since then, obviously, with, DAL and Xenon and all these other leagues. DAL that I think Dilemma just recently won, too.
Yeah, I think I saw on their Twitter recently, yeah.
They're coming off a hot streak, but I feel like I just have to give the edge to Dilemma. Just because they've been around longer. They just won a league. They were in major close quals. And although For My Gang are not a pug stack, they're still an unknown quantity.
Yeah, originally going into this, I was going to say, I was kind of the outlier. Someone's got to be the dark sheep going into this. But I think I've had some second thoughts, perhaps. Dilemma, they've been pretty much the same core roster for a while. And, well, For My Gang, they're still pretty unknown. So it looks like we're going to have a pretty one-sided prediction phase. And I guess the Coin's the only one who is going to think that either For My Gang, Quinta Negra, or even Slate wins. At least the Coin is on the same side of myself and Carter with Chunner potentially winning against Karn. So that's a subject for another day.
It was on your side with For My Gang, but yeah. So we
do
have
a coin.
we do have a functional coin float kind of like bot program thing where every day it's going to go 50-50. And our goal as talent, I think the rest are in agreement here. Our goal is not to beat each other here. We just gotta be better. We just gotta be better than the Coin. We're all friends here, except for that guy. Coin flip. We don't like him. Not a big fan. Also, not a big fan of Villa. We saw it way too much in the qualifier. I wanted to leave. I was co-streaming with Carter and then with Jacob, and I've had enough of Villa. I've quite frankly had enough. So I'm really hoping that, again, with FMG being a pretty unknown quantity and Dilemma not playing this map all too often, that we're going to see something interesting.
Maybe we see a little bit more, I guess, enjoyable maps, like Chalet might not be a bad thing to see later on. I know that, I think at one point Chunner might have played it. I know for a fact that we saw Chunner did play on it because I'm pretty sure they beat Bone Zone on that map. It really sucked personally to see Bone Zone not make it into quals, but is what it is. Chunner just played a really good game. Everyone's firing on all cylinders. But of course, we'll talk more about them later, about the best of one. And yeah, going into Villa, I could imagine a lot of roam extensions that you've seen countless times. Really, not a lot has changed on the map except a couple of operators that you might want to bring into the circuit. I think the more interesting aspect of what we're going to see, at least from the jump, is what operators are going to be banned. Because right now, there's a lot of good operators you can play in Rainbow Six currently. I mean, you've got Solus, Azami, Fenrir he is just so annoying to play against. Yeah. So you might just have bans where it's like, well, why'd you want to get rid of this operator in particular? Well, we don't like playing against them. And that makes perfect sense considering comfort is a huge thing on a default map like Villa, where you're always looking for a small little chip to get a one-up against your opponent.
Yeah, and I'm actually surprised that the game is still as evenly split between the sides as it is, because you'd think just by virtue of the operators being introduced, it would lean heavily towards the defense. I mean, you already mentioned Azami and Solus, but now, Fenrir being introduced, and it's not just Fenrir being introduced and the other two. It's the fact that those three exist, and look at the operators we got on the attack. We got Sens and Grim. Not terribly comparable. The attackers so far, even Brava, she's good, but she's not Solus or Azami or even Fenrir
very
level.
Situational.
Yeah, so the defense right now, I mean, they're fully in the advantage when it comes to operators, but people have figured out how to attack. Nevertheless, even the Fenrir play that we saw in quals, he was annoying, but he wasn't like super overtuned like a lot of people would think Azami or Solus is. He's just super annoying to deal with. It's still pretty easy to clear, if you know it's there. But that's kind of the thing. You have to know it's there. And a lot of those qual teams that didn't make it weren't very good at droning. Social prediction. Wow, it's almost an even 50-50. I'm surprised.
Well, chat just might know a little bit more than us, perhaps, going into this game. At least for our sake, Dilemma is still in the lead, but just slightly. It's nowhere near as one-sided as what we had in the talent prediction group. We'll take a look at the operator bans to see what we have on the docket for today. And again, we mentioned earlier, at least for the defense, that there are a lot of operator bans that make a lot of sense. And with kind of the lack of very overpowered operators in the game, we've been seeing a lot more bans like Ying and Dokkaebi that are just very annoying to deal with. Ying has a lot of utility on the board, and she's great at clearing out space for final executes, especially if you're a team that's very slow in the early to mid round. And Dokkaebi is a great operator for dealing with the roam, which on a map like Villa, you tend to see a lot of roams, a lot of isolation plays, which is also why we see a Nook ban. And we talked about Solus just briefly earlier, how she's just generally a good operator, so she's not going to be a problem for either team at this point for being in as well.
Especially on a map like Villa, that's so vertical. Solus is incredibly useful, as is Valkyrie. So you take away a lot of that post-plant potential, at least info-aided post-plant potential, or sorry, plant denial potential, from the defense. If they want to go for, C4s and below and stuff like that, it's largely going to rely on, sound intuition and good communication from the team. But we'll see how the defense adapts to that. They're bringing the Fenrir round 1. Alrighty, John. We get a little bit of fun. Also worthy to note, operators like Goyo, Thunderbird, a lot of people, and even Smoke, lost key parts of their kit.
As I say, I think the biggest one that people can recall is both the Nitro Cell from Goyo being removed and also having the deployable shield off of Smoke. That just means that there might be better situations where you bring somebody else who has a deployable shield and can also waste a little bit more time, or just bringing Goyo instead to waste time and still have a gadget that the attackers have to clear with, which is exactly what we're seeing for the Aviator bomb site. And Capsule setting up a little bit down below with help of some impact grenades and also using his bailiff for a couple of extra rotates and kill holes. I'm interested to see how aggressive we're going to have some of those Fenrir gadgets utilized, because you could deploy them on a potential roam extension and just use that to help assist someone in the early round to look for picks, or you could just use them to be bunkered up in the bomb site where you've got all this other utility like Vulcan packs to just make everyone's lives a living hell in the attack when they eventually hit the go button.
I'm also going to be curious, how is Brava going to affect Fenrir play? Because you're going to have to play around them. Otherwise, if she takes those, a retake is going to be pretty difficult for the defense to try and get through, but the Azami will be our first casualty. Dead to Candle, one of those two entry players from Dilemma. It's going to largely be him and Brios taking that initial map control. That's a huge operator to get off the board early.
Now it seems like for defense there, still waiting on that initial entry point into the map, maybe looking for a couple of drones to spot out, as there's plenty of utility being cleared across the map as well. Top main stairs now being a little bit easier to approach from by Dilemma, and I'm not too sure if they've actually located where Capsule is, but he misses the first opportunity. Luckily, Candle's there on the assist. Nice help there to get rid of the Fenrir roaming down below, and all they have to look for now is Kiru, who is kind of in a rock and a hard space now that everyone's entered the building.
Owen at least gets one back for his team. That's Cryptix. That's the Hibana, but everybody's dying around him. Now Owen's the next to fall. Kiru, left unchecked downstairs, is instantly traded by Candle. 3 kills in the very first round of Element 1 from the Iana player. That leaves Reapus in a 1 versus 3. Tucked inside of Study, Woos has case in hand. They hear the shot, so they know he's back in sight. And Candle is going to go for some floor nades. And they don't even need it. Woos still outside Study, catches him. That's a pretty good first round for Dilemma.
Really have to commend specifically Candle for being, pretty passive in the early round. A good chunk of Dilemma as well. We're just kind of sitting outside, waiting for the opponents to maybe go by a window that has a nice cutoff angle for the attack, or they get aggressive and look for some sort of peek directly looking outside. That nets them the opening gunfight. And as a team, once they have enough info to work off of, they hop into the building, and in case something goes wrong, there's another attacker not too far away, like Candle, for example, when assisting the Sledge, to find a trade if necessary. So even if we saw Capsule win that first engagement, it's still a man advantage for Dilemma, and they still have the same amount of map control. They just have one less set of grenades, which it wasn't really needed for that round because how aggressive For My Gang were playing in the opening minute. So maybe seeing a bit more passivity and playing off that utility could be the right idea for the defense, just to make sure they're not giving bodies away too early, or at least playing a bit closer to go for those potential trades.
They don't want to repeat the site either, interestingly enough, considering how popular Aviator games tends to be, but some teams just like to keep their opponents on their toes. They'll switch to Dining instead of Trophy, which we normally see next. They're bringing the Pulse. They've got Shield play upstairs. So they've got C4 potential. Kiru bringing the Barbed Wire instead of Impacts is a bit interesting. So there's no impact on this squad. That's going to be a lot of work for Owen to do in terms of rotates and other general setup. He's still working. Like, that's
Man
how
on a
you don't take it.
mission.
I do not feel, or I do not envy that guy.
Me neither. Especially when you have an extension down below as well. So you have all the general rotates you make upstairs and the kill holes, considering how long of an angle you can make playing above. And then you have the bomb site to worry about as well. Reba's trying to gather a bit of intel with the cardiac sensor, just making sure if it's a complete master overtake, who then maybe allow his teammates who are down below, who also have a C4, like Owen, to maybe find some sort of opening pick. The pantry single wall gets opened up. That could be used later in the round when Dilemma wants to try and execute into the bomb site. But for now, they'll still focus on the top floor as they have a lot of resources to deal with, like those zombie barriers, and also Diffuser playing behind a shield, but he walks away from it, I believe. And Kiru's dead as well. Huge opening round for Dilemma, and a C4 misses, so it's still the 5-on-3.
Absolutely. Candle able to get rezzed. Owen losing the C4. Another one goes up,
That's
stuck on the
tough.
door frame. Luckily, it's still within grasp. So he's got it. He's got the C4 back. Candle, you know, he's 1 HP, but still, For My Gang, FMG would have loved to get at least one of those refrags back, because sure, you know, the Warden's not terribly important. Losing the Azami sucks. The most important fact is that you've lost your upstairs control. The drone spots the Jaeger, but Wooz still runs right into him. At least it should have spotted the Jaeger right below, through the feet on that barricade. So eventually FMG do get a pick back. The Nomad's dead. I believe most, if not all of her air jabs were out though. So not the biggest steal in the world for the attack. Plus they've still got Sledge. They've still got breaching charges. They have plenty of time to work this vertical game as the Ace begins to work himself onto site with the help of Cryptics.
So long as they can have someone maybe rotate by memo, they could easily get a Tetris plant down, and even still taking their time. They've got 50 seconds, gather a bit more info since there are so many drones left alive. This execute could become flawless since Dilemma still had that man advantage and a lot of control.
Out goes the EE1D, but no defenders seem to be interested in moving even after the fact. In comes Ozone, El Jefe dash Dilemma. He's getting that plant down. Owen, no more C4 in pocket. Neither his Reapas. This is going to be really easy for Cryptics to cover as long as he's looking the right way. Here comes Owen, but after the plant, he can't get the kill in time. Reapas with a very nice shot upstairs, though. Capsule stopped by this barricade, leaving his teammate a bit isolated, but Cryptics is sprinting around in the middle of the site. What are you doing, old man? At least Brio's alone, but the Nomad, it goes out for one. Brio's, whoa! He's a whiffa! He finally gets the kill, and Reapas, instead of sticking, he gets off, feeling the pressure, knowing that he no longer has the help of his teammate. He's got some info from the pulse scanner, but he's not going to be able to get the floor bang. This should be very easy for Brios, and there it is. Almost a disastrous round for Dilemma. It looked like FMG were cooking something up in the retake.
And we saw how important getting that top floor control from the get-go is just so necessary for the team. And got a bit of comms going on, so we'll let that play out, and then I'll go to my point later, Harrison, it seems.
As you well, I'm very excited that they did not throw the round.
Well, that's always a bonus, but like I mentioned earlier, having the verticality to cover for the plant, it was just enough to make sure Ozone could get that diffuser down. And since there's no one else able to retake immediately, Rios can just sit up there and completely winning the round for his team. For My Gang had a very difficult time trying to disable that diffuser and also just deal with the sledge at the exact same time. Maybe if we saw everyone try to focus on the top floor at the same time, it could have been a different story, but there was also still the active threat of players just directly in the first floor. So really good job on Dilemma for taking care of the first order business, which is that top floor, so the rest of the round can pan out the way you want to, which is playing for the objective.
What was Cryptix doing, bro? Like
yeah,
his teammate
that was
just
an
died
interesting
upstairs.
one.
His teammate just died upstairs. He's just like, I will sprint around aimlessly on the bomb site. That was a bit odd.
Today I will
We're
do
going,
nothing.
We're going back to Aviator. Exact same operator lineup for at least the defense. The attack has swapped Ozone's Brava for a Jackal, and they're sticking the Lion that we saw last round instead of a Hibana. So sometimes on Villa, we will see 0 hard reach from an attack, especially if they spot that the defense already kind of has a lot of stuff opened up, as you can see on the downstairs. Capsule's got a whole lot of ground to work with, aided by Kiru. Hopefully they can delay a little bit more time than they did the previous attempt of this site, because last time, as we remember, Candle just kind of walked in and killed all of them.
Might see something similar, except with Ozone maybe leading the charge here. He is lurking down below his Jackal. Those Inox scanners can gather a load of intel just to make sure if some of those roamers from the initial minute have fallen away or not. But Diffuser, he's got a nasty angle. He gets rid of the Jackal in just about a minute 15, and so far, Dilemma, they're looking for a potential adjustment here, and there it is from Candle! All the way down from Mudroom, strikes a double kill. No one's turned around to eliminate him. And all of a sudden, Dilemma, they've completely bounced back from a pretty tough first-minute moment.
Yeah, we can actually see his silhouette kind of starting to work to the building as we were keeping an eye on Ozone. He strikes at the perfect time. I mean, that's a huge pick to get back. The Fenrir, Capsule had all of his fear mines set up downstairs to help the push. If you don't know how Fenrir works, it's you walk into it, big smoke comes up, you can't see anything. He has 5 of them, but he can only activate 3 at a time. So if he wants to move them, he's got to deactivate and then reactivate wherever he wants. Of course, it has unlimited range, but he's got to be alive to do so. So Capsule can't rotate those mines. They're probably, most of them, I wouldn't doubt if they're still stuck downstairs. Now with a man advantage, Dilemma are just going to try and hit main. The perfect flash comes through. Candle with 1, but doesn't spot the player next to him. There's a refrag from Brios, though, to ensure that Dilemma are still in a 3 versus 1, fully in the advantage. It looked like they know exactly where Reapas is. In comes Cryptix as well as Brios, trying to tag team him. 1 goes down. Beautiful shot from Reapas, but he's 1 HP. And there he goes. Dilemma, another really well-played round number 3, thanks to Candle.
3 flawless in a row on the attack when 2 of the bomb site selections have been Aviator and Game. That's pretty impressive so far by Dilemma. And yeah, it does not surprise me at all that For My Gang are looking for a timeout after Dilemma just destroyed them so far in the beginning moments of Villa. More specifically, again, there wasn't really a major change there by the defense of For My Gang. And Dilemma kind of played into that. They realized, okay, there's a couple of roamers between both library and maybe a bit closer towards the living room part of the map. Let's get somebody to lurk on that side of the map, and then we can have more control. Maybe force back the roamers into a more inconvenient position for them, or we just get a kill. And in this case, it ended up being Candle just walking through Mudroom and shooting 2 people in the back. And all of a sudden, you go from, Diffuser hitting that first opening pick and slowing down Dilemma all the way from their push from main stairs and red to having all the roamers either being forced to go back upstairs or just outright dying. So now for My Gang, again, they really have to consider either maybe getting more operators that are going to help assist them on the roam that aren't just like a Fenrir, maybe having more info focused defenders, maybe even a Valkyrie could be a little bit more helpful or proactive. Either way, something major has to change. Or you could even go for the polar opposite like we're seeing, where you have more of a bunker style composition. That could work too For My Gang. But bottom line, something has to change. It's clearly plan A is not working against Dilemma, because they have been clinical in either getting the opening gunfight on these roam clears or at least playing close enough to get consistent trades.
Well, here's a different game plan, a site we haven't seen before. We've got Trophy, the Mira being played for the first time as well. Same thing with Castle and Aruni. So looks like FMG might be playing a lot closer, to the chest, mainly bunkering down on site and having a slight extension here. The castle barricades probably mean they're going to be sitting someone in closet, or at least trying to contest bathroom at the very least. One mirror window placed on the main wall that is susceptible to vertical play. So they'll likely have someone like probably Owen downstairs, I would know somebody downstairs has to try and watch for that mirror window because Dilemma have plenty of tools to deal with that, you know, especially the nades from both Rios and Candle. FMG extending all the way over towards Study as well. So let me take back that closer to the chest comment. You got 2 players stationed over there. I guess Capsule. I guess Capsule's going to be the guy downstairs on the mirror.
The loudest op. I mean, at least you got a C4, so maybe that could be something going your way.
Plus, I guess Mute's 3 armor now too, so I guess it doesn't really matter which one of them did it.
Yeah, both have secondary shotguns. Both, and I guess Mirror's gun could be a little bit better for range unless you're running the MP5K or you're just a beast with the SMG11, which Owen's not doing bad, but he's not going beast mode. We'll see. Also, I don't think we pointed out the Grim. I'm very interested to see where Cryptic's going to be playing.
Grim.
He's playing on the window repel by Astro. At least he was. He's kind of moved away, so maybe he'll go elsewhere and just, I don't know, start grimming all over the place. Gonna be using his swarms to potentially just get some defenders in awkward positions. As now Dilemma is starting to work down below. I believe they forced out the Mira far enough. Yeah, she's moving a little bit closer towards Astro's stairs. So now we could see that grenade presence down below, which could either net a kill or at least break this utility up the triple wall to get some better angles exposed for the attackers.
Diffuser's actively fighting it, though. It seems like maybe Rios is aware of that. He's very tentative about shooting the mirror window, but finally, there it is. Diffuser now way more exposed. Another nade goes up from Candle, but it does not find its mark. And the Warden's still challenging. As long as he doesn't stand up, as he is right now, he's not going to be able to get spotted through that mirror, so he might still be safe to play against the vertical. Even more drones coming out from Dilemma as well as Woos gets the first kill on the Diffuser. There goes the Warden. Opening pick for Dilemma, but they're running out of time.
The nade, though, for back Astro. It'd be huge if it lands, but it doesn't seem like it. Still plenty of attackers, though, and there it is, the swarms completely clearing out Astro. They can walk up the staircase for free and still have this man advantage with 40 seconds to go. This is a great position for Dilemma.
Oh, and that Grim's going to find the player right behind the reinforcement.
Wow.
That's Kiru going down. Ooh. Candle with the mirror. The man who was spotted. Reapa's the next to die. It's flawless from Dilemma. Completely ignoring the Study side. Roam, perfect clear downstairs. Perfect use of the Grim as well. That was actually really impressive. And now they lead 4-0.
I have to say, although he's very situational, seeing Grim in the perfect opportunity really can pay off for a team that does it correctly. Because, again, you've cleared out the roamers, or at least the roamers you know about down below. You've got master bathroom control as well. You can maybe get someone to go over by the bedroom area as well to play over by bricks or by the triple wall that's been opened up. You've got plenty of positions you can start pinpointing some pressure over on that part of the top floor. Getting the Grim just to guarantee no one's in Astro so you can push even closer to the bomb site with the man advantage is fantastic. And again, Dilemma, they're not throwing away these man advantages. They quite literally played flawlessly last round. And for my gang, they really have not found a solution. They're trying to go to every bomb site they can and just hope for the best. And honestly, Dilemma already winning 4 rounds on the attack. They could lose these next 2 and probably be just fine going to the defense, but they're just simply playing better in comparison to For My Gang.
Absolutely. I don't know. Now, of course, this could be FMG's weakness, or due to their weakness, but this is, I think, the best that Dilemma has looked in a while. I haven't been keeping up with DAL, so I haven't seen them recently, but they look really good. No wonder they were able to make it through into the major close quals. And this is why they are an invited team. After all, big criticism of this team in the past when they were like us was a very slow pace and giving away picks. Sometimes people like Candle or Aggro, he'd live up to his namesake, and they would get over aggressive and kind of give those opening picks back. But those 2 issues have not reared their heads just yet. That one round we had, round number 2, that wasn't really giving picks back after the entry. They were just kind of caught out with weird positioning and kind of dumb plays like sprinting around through the middle of the site. So far, they've held onto their man advantages. Their trade game has been impeccable, and they've really picked up the pace.
Minute burned away. Not a huge concern, again, since you're going for, I suppose, a more minimal style attack. That is the rattiest angle I've ever seen to deal with the guy who's by the jukebox door, or I guess the single door by laundry. And Reapus almost dies from that position. Now for the defensive For My Gang, they can really feel the pressure once again. It's a nice keeping area to make sure Diffuser can play here for just a little bit longer, even if someone's on that rappel. But without that assistance of Kira, yeah, he's probably going to fall back. They drop through the hatch. So now the top floor has been forfeit. Sure, a lot of time has been spent up, but there is now all the verticality in the world that Dilemma could ask for. And really the only denial we could see for the plant are those C4s, which Owen's got one popped up. He's downed Brios. And unless Reapus can utilize him, that might be the sledge still intact, but it goes off, and that's the opener for My Gang.
So for the first, or rather for the second round, for My Gang have an opening. We'll see if they can win the round off of it. That is a very important operator. That's the sledge, as well as the second frag for Dilemma. Of course, that's Candle leading the charge. However, it did cost them 2 C4s, because they had to confirm the downs. They're completely out of that secondary utility. They are spread out, though. A lot of mute jammers, too, to stop the info gathering from Dilemma. More Lion charges going out. Dilemma have to try and use these Hibana breaches, or all these breaching charges to create Vert, as they don't have their sledge. But Cryptix does get one back onto Owen. So the man count has been evened. Unfortunately, the mute has already used his C4. So it's not a big impact kill, but just man advantage nonetheless.
Candle waiting, expecting someone by Museum. Nice shot, or Mudroom, pardon. Nice shot landed by Candle. And once again, same kind of execute. What is going on for My Gang? They've thrown all their bodies down the drain. It's only Capsule out the bomb site. The plant would most certainly go down at this point, and they've got info where the Jaeger is. This might be another round one for Dilemma, Harrison. There isn't really much left to do here in these final 6 seconds.
Yeah, this plant is going down whether the Capsule likes it or not, and with that pre-fire, they know exactly where he is. Candle's just going to hold this doorway forever, or at least until the Jaeger peeks him. This is pretty tough for Capsule. The rest of his team, it looked like, tried to flank, and it was really ill-timed. I mean, that was the second, or probably actually, I think the third time we've seen someone flank upstairs and have to punch a barricade to get the angle, and that's just broadcasting your position to whoever's up there. If you want to do that, if you want to flank, stop barricading the freaking doorways.
Yeah.
FMG have, I will say, and this is not necessarily their fault because they are a new team, but they really, really look like a new team.
Gonna see Aviator in games for now the third time that even decided for My Gang. Hasn't really been all sunshine and rainbows for them. As even when they have the man advantage, even when they kill the main reason why Dilemma Esports won the last time Dining Room was picked by For My Gang, even when that is off the board, they still end up having some hiccups towards the final minute or so of the round, and Dilemma just capitalizes it once again. And I mean, we have a couple of different ops in selection here this time for the defense. You've got Thorn. Okay. I mean, the barbed wire is going to get destroyed by the aerodrones, and I mean, maybe the razor blooms could be, they could be a little more effective than the Fen gadgets, I guess, and if Fenrir dies early.
Yeah, but why not Thorn shield?
Yeah, that's the
you don't have any shields. You got 2 people with proxes.
Well,
this is kind of telling me
the lurk play across the map is definitely not going to be successful. They will know.
I mean,
I hope.
You kind of look at the lineup here and like the utility they're bringing. This makes me think that they've kind of given up on playing normal Siege. These are comfort ops. These are frag ops.
Yeah, for sure.
They're like, all right, you know what? Put me on a 1.5. Put me on Alibi or Oryx. And Capsule is already almost 1 HP, I think, thanks to a nade from Brios. And there's the flank watch from main door. Capsule gets caught out, and Woos is credited with the opening pick. Early 5v4. Kiru now on drone as well. Brios swinging the window. He's looking for him. Kiru's not dead yet. He's fighting back. The nade goes up. Looks like they've got info on the player in study. He's going to back off. A Diffuser able to get the kill. Not after Kiru dies, though. So still a man advantage. Make that even. Thanks to the efforts of Diffuser. So things not all bad for FMG. Dilemma still have plenty of time and plenty of utility to make this happen, and even more players from the defense are rotating below.
Really interesting spot here by Owen. A huge gamble. If you end up seeing this on My Gone, that's a couple of magnets down the drain, and yeah, seems like he'll go for the more safe option of going back upstairs, bring out these magnets just to ensure some of these Kiba barriers will last a little bit longer, so long as they can destroy the last few terror drones that Woos currently has in his back pocket. Maybe that could allow for a couple of more stronghold positions to be held by For My Gang for just a little bit longer. Maybe keeping more control of top main. That study push could be a little bit of malnourished because of that. And even these players that are slowly working their way down below. Candle is out of nades, but he is really not that low on options. I mean, the dude's been popping off currently in the first half. It would not shock me if we see 1 or 2 kills go down by Candle in the rest of this round, Harrison.
He's crouch walking. He's trying to hit it. All 3 Dilemma players on different sides of the map. We've got one bottom red who's got pings. Oh. He's trying to floor. I thought he was going to nade, and I realized he didn't have any nades. So
yeah,
this guy's trying to... He's trying to floor bang? That's not where he is, buddy. Oh, the ping comes through, but he doesn't land any damage. Nice try from Candle. In the meantime, Woos has placed himself on 90. Ozone jumping in through Boar. So they've completely swapped the push from a downstairs front side take to now wrapping 90 and Skull. It's Woos' job to make sure that these players don't get flanked in from 90, but he's dropping off the rappel, probably to rotate around to study, but the time is low. Only 20 seconds. That proxy goes off. So they know there's at least one guy rotating. In comes Candle, spearheading his way into the site. Ozone's the first one to get the kill, though, supporting through. The defender's still holding this angle against Candle, but Woos comes around the back. He downs him. It's a 2v1, and the plant is going down. The shots revealing the location of Reapa's. Candle holding on, as is Ozone. They both know exactly where this guy is. Candle doesn't know he's rotated already, but the shots come through. Reapa's pre-firing away, getting desperate, revealing his own location. He's going to go for the pickup, try and even up the man count. Now it's a 2 versus 2. Remember, Owen is low, as is Candle. They know about this guy in study, but what a reaction! Candle shuts down Reapa's, leaving Owen now in the 1 versus 2, and he doesn't get past Ozone. It's a 6-0 flawless half for Dilemma to start their T2 journey.
Major play as well for Woos to hit that flank, even though they had info, still being able to go across the map and injure the guy Vault so you could go in and plant a little bit safer. That was a huge plus for Dilemma. And with that, like you mentioned, they go flawless, which doesn't leave For My Gang all too many options left when they're moving on to attack.
That boy Adam. That boy Adam.
Oh my god, we're fucking nasty!
That boy Adam. That boy Adam.
What the fuck?
That's my boy.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Wow, we still
I
had
love
more in
that,
too.
dude.
That's crazy.
I love player comms, dude. This is awesome. So,
yeah.
Is there any hope at all?
Well, they have Yang.
For My Gang?
Maybe there is at least one round they can get.
There's no Warden either for Dilemma. There is a Wamai, so they can stop, and a Jaeger. So they're gonna have to get through that first. The issue is not what happens when the Candelas go out, it's if they get the Candelas out.
True.
I mean, they do have 6 flashbangs. They've got a lot of burn. It's just, again, FMG have looked like a really new team. Like, there's a lot of things they still have to iron out. I'm a little concerned that while they have enough utility to deal with it, they're not going to have them in the right places. Their timing might be off, and they're just overall not going to be coordinated enough to take advantage.
Interested to see where For My Gang will begin their attack. I mean, it looks like they want to at least get somewhat of a study overtake kind of cooking up with Owen on Ying. You know, me personally, I don't know if I'd want the Ying on the solo roam clear as one of the more important operators in your lineup, but I mean, maybe it could work. Maybe you want to flash and kill the guy ISO'd, but doesn't really seem like Owen's doing all too much. He's just kind of sitting outside. He is terrified someone's going to run out on main door, and yeah, he'll eventually move a little bit closer to the objective. Diffuser on his roam clear will be successful in finding at least that first opening kill, and suspects someone's down by the 90 hallway, spots at least the shoulder of the Jaeger, and looks for a nice pre-fire, and Ozone... Okay, I thought he jumped out the window, but he was just hopping over the table. That would have been a crazy way to dodge the Ash.
Yeah, actually, he almost died, too, from the wallbang. Diffuser had a really good game sense to try and wallbang there. They've got info, too, and here comes Diffuser on the hunt. Owen concerned about this castle. They've got info on him, too. In comes the Candelas. There's their capitalization. Diffuser trying to come through. He's stumped by the Jaeger. Can't get the kills, but he is right outside the site, looking to work his way in. He's finally through the doorway. Proxy goes off. The Jaeger now dead. That's Diffuser with an opening 2. And a 5 versus 3 for his team. Getting very lit up by this Wamai as Cryptix finally gets one back, but it costs almost 99% of his HP. He does drop Case on the balcony, but that shouldn't be a problem for the attack to try and pick up. Owen still flashing through. No capitalization. And finally, Diffuser gets caught out. And there goes the control. But Capsule catches Woos on the prone. 2 versus 3. Man count back in the favor of FMG. In comes Kiru. Again, very concerned for Cryptix. He's very low. This is going to be largely on the shoulders of Brios. And here comes the nade to displace him. He's going to run away, try and hop over. Unsuccessful. Cryptix, 1 HP in a dream. And it's a first point for My Gang.
Playing off a solid opening kill, potentially looking to get a little bit closer into the bomb site and play for that objective was the right call to make, not trying to overcomplicate much and just utilizing what they had brought into the round to make space, like those Candelas, for example. At least you saw a little bit more coverage over by Statue, and with there being an attacker presence by Master, you're not going to have to worry about that brick doorway. So for the most part, it was just that trophy side of the map that My Gang had to deal with. And again, you've got grenades, you've got people in the opposing bomb site, you've got more Candelas still in that round. So if you need to push them back to do more damage, you have that option. And we saw exactly that with a nice nade tossed out, forcing them to essentially hop over as they couldn't push too deep by Boar. They'd get shot by the Ying and they couldn't move anywhere else because probably died to a Yana and they did so anyways. So at least for FMG, they don't lose 7-0, but they have to continue to play as well as they did last round or even better just to get overtime. And then we don't even know what happens after that. So it is still a huge uphill battle for them.
We're ready for company.
And look at Dilemma's lineup.
Oh, this is just...
Yeah.
I'd go bald playing against this.
Legion,
This is like the mall
Fenrir,
comp.
Frost. This is going to be terrible for FMG to try to deal with. So
You think someone
Again,
gets frost matted by Candle?
definitely, absolutely.
I
You
think so,
kidding me?
too.
Frost has the highest success rate in, I think, comp. Pretty sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like what is it? An opposite of like a bell curve, where it's like
Yeah.
really good at the very low end and high end of elo, and in comp.
And then it
like
like
you
sucks in like gold.
mentioned. Yeah,
Flat.
'cause
Everywhere
everyone's
else is-
looking for him.
Yeah. Everywhere else is really good. So, FMG still working with the same pace they did last round, though. Diffuser is in 90, 45 seconds into the round with info. Legion's fallen back. Do they still have someone hanging out there? No. Everybody on the roam has fallen back from study. I guess maybe somehow they knew. Maybe because the 90 cam was shot, or maybe someone flicked onto the 90 cam. At least they get away alive this time. Because remember, part of the reason why FMG were able to win that last round was that big 2K.
Rio's still up above. I think they're taking their time to gather info. Yeah, Hiru knows there isn't anyone on the Astra window, so Brios could play a little more passive. And no, Brios to your left, to your left, Brios. Oh my goodness, Diffuser just hiding in the corner trying to Gemini, and he got shut down. But I think it was what, Candle? Yeah, he still scored a kill playing above. There's still an active threat that FMG have to deal with, and Diffuser isn't 100% sure where this Frost is. And in all the chaos, Moose finds a Nitro Cell kill down below. And Reapus is just completely by himself. Luckily, there's no one here. Okay, never mind. I lied. Diffuser and Owen are not too far behind him. That's my bad. I was totally gaslighting him there. But that is still a huge boon for Dilemma because they started with an opening loss by Brios, and they still have a man advantage off that.
Not only do they have the man advantage, but look at who they killed, Buck and Sledge.
Oh, that
You
is...
could not have asked for two better opening picks. Diffuser's on the hunt. Oh, he's right outside China. Seems Ozone might know about it, though. In he comes to the site. There's a fear mine right next to him. He's got to be careful not to walk into the radius. And there it is. It lights up. Not only is that going to delay him, but that's also info being given to the defense. You can see the Pulse's attention now turned directly towards him, but Reapa's getting the plant down. Everybody from Dilemma's off site. Cryptix, it looks like he was lagging there for a second. He's got no eyes on where the case is. Owen catches Candle trying to come up and flank. C4 goes out. Beautiful toss from Cryptix. That's not the planter they have to worry about. Oh my god, what a shot! And Fenrir finishes! Dilemma still managed to come away with the win. The 2vx post plant, largely thanks to Cryptix landing the beautiful toss on the C4. The shot killing the guy prone, even though he was lagging. And Dilemma come away with a very dominant 7-1 win in the very first T2 game back.
Playing off of intel and that process of elimination for Cryptix was perfect. You had the fan gadget go off by Tetris, so you know someone's still playing there. The plant just went down not too far from that position either. Really solid chance with the Buck and Sledge dead. The only other person covering is probably inside of Laundry, and that was the case. So that was a solid job by Cryptix to just kind of go through that flow state and just try to look for one-on-ones, waiting for the rest of his teammates to help him in that endeavor. And because of that, again, team play that we saw almost every single round by Dilemma, they also have no trouble dealing with a player by Pantry Single, who can basically cut the bomb site in half and make sure you only have to focus on either a vertical retake if someone goes back up above, or someone pushing in from Memo, for example. So again, that was a phenomenal way for Dilemma to start their tier 2 debut.
Absolutely. They looked in control of pretty much that entire map with the exception of rounds 2 and 7. So 2 out of 8 rounds, only 25%. That's pretty damn good. I was very impressed with Candle. He looks like he's grown as a player, not just giving away frags and still able to kill with the best of them. Brios also doing incredibly well for himself. But everyone on this roster had highlight moments. For FMG,
they had Diffuser walking in sight.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues. That was kind of the only highlight there from FMG was getting Diffuser in safely and quickly.
Still the same hype as well. From
Is that
like 2
Ozone?
rounds
I
ago.
think that's Ozone.
Ozone is like one of the rowdiest people I've ever seen, like on Twitter. Like watching their game day clips, that guy is like, he's so passionate with his comms. He is pretty vocal nowadays too. He's grown a lot as a player, and like we just saw, I mean, he's very colorful with his language. We'll put it like that. Maybe he'll be able to replicate that in the interview. I hope not.
I hope so. Are you kidding me? I'm the one doing the interview. But take a look at how things shook out in terms of stats. Who the kill leaders were. I'm pretty sure it was Candle was up there. I don't remember the scoreboard. Diffuser was the closest member of FMG positive.
Yep.
I think he finished 6 and 8 or 5 and 8, something like that. And the fact that like your best player finished 5 and 8. Not great. I was talking to Kira beforehand. They were, even though they said they were a real team, they've been scrimming. Their focus is the gunfights and winning them. But Dilemma were so tight, and their info game was so good, and their refrag game was so on point that FMG never really got the momentum to let their guns loose.
And I think it was even, Cryptics and Brios. I'm honestly, everyone on Dilemma kind of held their weight, and then you just had Candle just having all the fun in the world on Villa. So that general lack of consistency by everybody on For My Gang. And again, it wasn't even just general kills. Obviously, that was a huge problem for them because they were giving up a lot of bodies in the early round, since they only won, I think it was like 2 entries the entire best of 1. But not only that, it was also not playing in a way where you could effectively work for trades. We didn't really see a lot of that. The one time we saw For My Gang win a round, it wasn't really off of playing the trade game. It was just Diffuser getting a really good opening pick, almost getting 2, and then pushing in the bomb site because he probably had info by a teammate who was droning by the master side of the map. So they took advantage of that small opening and got a round win off of that. Other than that, Dilemma played perfectly. They were pushing multiple points of the map. They were working together as a team. They were, pinching out these roamers where they either have to fall back and not waste a lot of time because of that, or they die because they are just refusing to give up these crucial parts of the map in the early round. And because of that, I mean, Dilemma just kind of walked all over them, Harrison.
Yeah, and 3 plants for Ozone, so Dilemma, very good.
Yeah, still playing for the objective too.
Yeah,
crazy.
Very good in the fragging department, still playing for objective. It was, of course, Candle 14 and 4. The next highest member on his team, it was 3 of them had 6 kills and 1 had 5. So still a team effort from Dilemma. No one really lagging behind everyone else, but Candle was just that much better for pretty much the entire game. I mean, multiple 3Ks from him. Great clutch in that 2vx. We actually have an interview, John, and it's not with Ozone like I thought. It's actually with Woos, who I've never spoken to before. So, Woos, I finally get to meet you. What's up? Congratulations. I was really gunning for the 7-0, but a 7-1. That's still.
Yeah, we were gunning for it too. That was very devastating. Can't lie.
All good. What do you think was the big weakness? Was it just letting Diffuser walk in?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody knows how these guys play. They're just peek. I don't know. I feel like that they were kind of their own downfall. Like I feel like we weren't even truly not even doing anything special. Like we put a Frone in front of Candle, and I mean he was just like I mean, it was wraps from there. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
wasn't even. I don't know, but they kind of undid themselves, in my opinion.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of the game plan from you guys was just have Candle 1 kill with info, and then 2 your refrag game, right? Knowing that they're going to be peak. Your refrag game was a huge highlight for John and I. And I know a big criticism of Lycus Empire when you guys were that team in the past was you guys had a bit of a slow pace, and then you would sometimes give away picks. You know, guys like Candle or Brios or Aggro would kind of over peak after getting that initial entry. How did you guys kind of reel them back and make your game faster?
So this actually happened probably within the last week or two. Very recent. We recently got a new coach. He lives in Ireland. Shout out Sub. Goes by Sub. But he came in. I played for like 2.5 years. I've had a lot of coaches. I have never had a coach as good as Sub. He identified our problems, knocked everything out instantly. I mean, it was like that overheating thing, the refrags, like truly in the week or two we've had Sub, we have, I feel like, gotten miles better.
Wow. That's really impressive. So shout out to him. I love to see, because I know you guys have a coach, and JJ's team, JJ finally caved, and he's got a new coach too. So a lot of work for them to do. And you guys were actually leaning a lot into Lion and even Nomad, who's not an operator we see too often on Villa anymore. Was that just is that just something you guys run, or was that specifically against FMG because, you know, as you said, they're super aggressive, they were super flank heavy as well?
Yeah, that was kind of my choice. I kind of just play whatever for that, but yeah, I kind of opted to just bring the Nomad there because I know how, again, I feel like everybody knows how these guys play, and they played into it. Again, as everybody knows, they like to flank, they like to peek, they like to walk out. So I just feel like the Nomad shut that down. I think like there was one round they hit all 3 of my air jabs. So it was like, I don't know what more value Nomad can get.
Oh, absolutely. And then one of your attacking rounds, I think it was the final AVG attack where you guys, you know, very early on had 2 kills and the diffuser got 2 from the hatch. What was the call to, you know, with 2 minutes left in the round in the 3v3, completely swap from the main side take to going for Skull?
I think it was Ozone. I'm not sure what happened there. I just remember he made a call. I don't know what he saw, but he just made the call to kind of start working red. He said it looked light because we had intel like a guy was main, a guy was bar or something. So it's like we just took like in our minds we had like a 2v1 to take Skull side. So that was all Ozone's call. I wasn't really on that side of the push. I didn't really see what happened, but yeah, because
you were right. You were over by 90, and then you actually you downed the guy in the vault, which pretty much allowed them to get the plant down. So that was huge from yourself, of course. You know, pat yourself on the back for that one.
I didn't even know I downed him, but yeah.
you did down him. That's why the last guy was rotating into vault because he wanted to pick up his teammate. So that pretty much let the plant go down.
Gotcha.
Something Ozone and I also talked about that maybe you can elaborate on is, you know, it was the recent pickup, you know, dropping aggro for Cryptics. And I know, you know, Cryptics, aggro, woos, you know, all these guys have been like in and out of your team for the past year. So what was the decision to finally kind of settle down and bring Cryptics back?
So our decision mainly came down to like, it was just a role thing. No slide on aggro. Aggro is a great player. We're all friends. It was truly just a role thing. It was just, the role aggro was on, I like myself, the team felt like I needed to play it, and then Cryptics is just like one of the best SMG players in the game. It was just like, it was truly just a role thing, but that was really our decision with that one. I don't know.
I got you, because I know aggro is now actually on one of these teams, so that would be cool if you guys end up playing against each other. But anyway, Woos, again,
be fun.
Congratulations, 7-1, huge win. You guys look really solid. I look forward to seeing more from you guys.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Well, John, we heard it from the horse's mouth. Not that Woos is a horse. He's a very nice gentleman. Cryptics, just better role thing. And yeah, that guy, SMG wizard. I mean, especially that last shot on the guy prone. I thought Reapas was getting that kill for sure. Ended up not being the case. But that's our first game, John. I just called you Don. That's our first game, John. Done and dusted. Now we get GGG versus CNE. We get Jameson Kool-Aid, and Zachary Spirits up against a Mexican team. The only Mexican team in all of Element.
Yeah, and I think we've only seen CNE play like once for the Latin America major qual.
Something
so
like
it's
that,
good to see them. Yeah, it's good to see them qualify in Element 1, but in terms of bookwork, might be a little bit hard to follow up on them. So honestly, the best of 1 series could go anywhere. But before we head into that matchup, we'll take a quick break and get that prepared. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.